Good morning, everyone. This is Christian Duke, the Iron Duke Speaks. Today's Wednesday, April the 11th, and if I'm a little amped up, it's because I'm on that Lean Fuel Extreme version 2 by IronMagLabs.com. This thermogenic bad boy will have the fat scorching off of you. So today I want to talk a little bit about Conor McGregor. Is his career over? Well, guys, let me tell you something. I was one of the people that thought that Conor and the whole thing with the throwing the dollies and the trash cans into the bus, I thought it was staged, guys. I'm not going to lie. Initially, when I first saw it, when Robert DiMaggio said, "Did you see this?" When I first saw it, I thought it was staged. Until the injuries, until the criminal charges, until the fact that they were looking for the guy, that his jet was grounded, that his passport was nicked. Then it all started to really seem to be like a colossal failure for Conor, a failure of his career, a failure for his sponsors. I mean, just a really, really bad move. I mean, the fact that this guy assembled a small army of 20 to 30 thugs, basically got into the Barclays Center, went to the buses, and inflicted like actual damage. I mean, there are people that had to be sent to the hospital with deep cuts. Okay, with deep cuts, and some people even had. It sounded like, doctor terminology, but it almost sounded like some sort of like brain damage, minor brain damage. So, at the very least, I can see Conor getting sued from here into oblivion. But what does this do to MMA? I mean, there's a stigma that sort of follows bodybuilding around. It's completely baseless. And unfortunately, it's been with it since almost, I would say, the early 90s, which is this whole paranoia, this witch hunt with sports enhancement supplements, many of which are exogenous hormones. And unfortunately, if the mainstream media could attack, AAS for anything, it would. You know what I mean? And we see it all the time. And, with wrestling, we saw it to the point that Vince McMahon basically had to sabotage his newly formed WBF in the sense that he made it all natural with guys that never competed naturally. So, Vince McMahon had to pull the plug on the WBF because of the fact that he was terrified of the witch hunt carried out by the mainstream media against anabolic steroids. Now, MMA may not have that steroid, sort of skeleton in the closet that chases them around, but they may have this Conor McGregor incident. They might say MMA is a sport for thugs. MMA is a sport where people, throw dollies into buses and people are out of control. And then you don't see that so much in boxing. Boxing, actually, people don't even talk about boxing that much anymore. MMA has really become liquid gold. You know what I mean? We saw the rise and fall of Ronda Rousey. Everybody thought that was going to be sort of the end of women's MMA, and it wasn't. You know what I mean? We see Conor McGregor, and it shouldn't be the end, and his actions shouldn't hinder everything that is UFC. And when we say MMA, I think it's now become really, interchangeable with UFC. It's kind of like when Senator Lindsey Graham asked Mark Zuckerberg at the Senate hearings. He said, he was basically saying, is there an alternative to Facebook? He said, if I buy a Ford and I don't like a Ford, I can go and buy a Chevy. If I go to Facebook and I don't like Facebook, where can I go? You know what I mean? And they even bought Instagram. So where can I go? Twitter's dead. The last quarterly report, zero growth. You know what I mean? Pinterest, I don't even know how to use Pinterest. MySpace, a place for friends. I don't know. I haven't been to MySpace in like 10 years, 5 years at least. There's nowhere else to go. So, you know what I mean? When you think about MMA, there's UFC, Dana White, and nothing else. Except if you're going to go fight in some bar in Bangkok or something like that, like recreate Bloodsport. So, honestly, you know what I mean? I feel like Conor's actions, the 3 misdemeanors and the felony, that's going to hurt him penally speaking, his criminal record. Then he's going to get sued into oblivion. But then what happens to UFC? What happens to the empire that Dana White built basically from nothing, buying out all the competition, establishing a monopoly? What happens to that? What happens if now the mainstream media goes after UFC the same way, as irrationally as it may be, that it goes after bodybuilding? Dana could be having a serious problem. And a lot of people could start saying, well, MMA is not all it's cracked up to be. Maybe they'll go to boxing. You know what I mean? Maybe they'll go to rugby. Maybe they'll go to lacrosse. Who knows? But when the mainstream media sours on you and they start to attack you and attack you and attack you, you know, that's going to have a detrimental effect on advertisers. It's going to have a detrimental effect on your pay-per-view sales. It's going to have a detrimental effect on your role in pop culture and pop society. And if you don't think so, I mean, look at what they've done to other sports. You know what I mean? The mainstream media is basically a propaganda machine. And the television, which was the lie box, the radio, which is the SEC lie box, where they controlled everything that you heard, has now been replaced by this. If you don't think the internet's being regulated, if you don't think the internet's going to be even more regulated, then you're living on the moon. Of course it's being regulated. And even if it's not being regulated, you go back to what Lindsey Graham said. What's the alternative? You know what I mean? If Facebook's the only show in town, you know what I mean? They can basically do whatever they want with you. You know what I mean? And they can do it subliminally. You can do it in banner ads. You can do it in like little things that blink. You could do it subtly. You could bury it in information. So if the mainstream media turns, and the other thing is Conor McGregor, what judge? You know, judges, a lot of judges are elected officials. You know what I mean? They're supposed to be impartial. Yeah, they're supposed to be impartial, but they don't want to be perceived as being weak on crime. A judge that's weak on crime doesn't get reelected. A prosecutor, a district attorney that cuts sweetheart deals is not going to get reelected because, again, he or she will look soft on crime. So you got Conor McGregor and an army of 20 to 30 thugs throwing garbage cans and dollies into buses, cutting people up, sending them to the hospital. Do you think they're going to cut him a sweetheart deal? They may, but then they're basically going to end their political careers in terms of any elected office. Nobody's going to elect a prosecutor or a judge that's soft on crime, especially when you have a video. I mean, it's very, very hard to cross-examine a video. It's very hard to refute a video. It's right there. It's audio and visual proof. It's undeniable proof. So, I mean, it's like, I mean, you know, why would they offer Conor a deal? What, you know, when you offer a deal, a lot of times it's, you know, to cut short on a prosecution. Maybe it's to not have to investigate so much. Maybe it's because you can't prove all the salient points of a case. When you've got a video, you've got the case proved. So, you know what I mean? I can't imagine that he's going to get any kind of a sweetheart deal from the government. And I don't think the mainstream media is going to let up on him anytime soon either. The question is, are they also going to not let up on UFC and Dana White? Because that's going to cost a lot of people a lot of money. Now, will Dana White let him come back? I mean, if he does, you know, maybe. I don't know. He says he won't. He probably will. At the end of the day, if he can make money, he will. But, you know, to me, honestly, it's a crapshoot. Dana White isn't a crapshoot. So let's talk a little bit about the New York Yankees. My father, oh my God, one of the biggest Yankees fans you'll ever meet, watches every single game. Every single game. Greg Valentino from IronMag.com, huge Yankees fan, watches every single game. The Yankees, they suck right now. The question is, you know, where are the real fans? Because a real fan, look, you go to Cleveland, okay? The Browns, you know, the Dolphins aren't the only team that had a perfect season. Yep, the Dolphins back in the 70s had a perfect season. They didn't lose a single game. And the Browns last year, they also had a perfect season. Did they go to Super Bowl? No, not at all. Because their perfect season was all losses. They didn't win a single game. They lost every single game. And when I was in Cleveland for the Natural Ohio and I spoke to my driver, my Uber driver, they said, you know, people don't even want to tailgate anymore. They don't want to buy season tickets. You know what I mean? They don't even want to watch the games. Why? Because every game the Browns play, they lose. You know what I mean? The morale is totally destroyed. Nonetheless, if you watch the football games, you will see people in the bleachers. You will see people in the stands. You will see people wearing the Browns shirts and wearing the Browns hats and buying the Browns tickets. You know what you call those people? Those people are hardcore fans. Because those people, they don't care. I mean, of course they care if the team's losing. But they're going to go anyways. They're going to support the team anyways. They're going to scream their hearts out for the team. And the Yankees, they have a lot of hardcore fans. But that should not remove from the fact that they suck right now. And the Yankees, if you look at how much money is spent at the front office and how much money is spent on recruiting players and keeping players, the Yankees have pretty much limitless resources. So whether it's the management, whether it's the players, whether it's the condition of the grass on the field, I don't know. But they got to do something. They got to do something fast. Okay, The return of Silvio Samuel, El Matador. Now, I got to tell you, not last week, 2 weeks ago at the Indie Pro, my good friend Hector Mendoza of MD Latino and also MidAtlanticMuscle.net did a great interview available at Muscular Development Online with Silvio Samuel. Now, Silvio, did some time. I'm not here to sling. I'm not here to judge. I'm not here to preach, but he did some time. He's back. A lot of people, the older guys know who he is. The younger guys are like, who's that guy? And they have reason to worry because this guy was beating the big boys back, 10 years ago. And now he's coming back, but he's not coming back to the open. He's going to the 212. Silvio Samuel at 100% in the 212 is very, very dangerous. Flex, the Welsh Dragon Lewis should definitely take note. Silvio is coming with a lot of passion. This is a guy that has something to prove. This is a guy that in the 212 could be extremely, extremely dangerous. And you should definitely watch the interview you did with Hector Mendoza. I think you'll really like it. Check it out at Muscular Development Online. And this weekend, April the 14th in Erie, Pennsylvania, yours truly, Christian Duke, the Iron Duke, and Big Frank Budaleski of Ask Big Frank, Iron Mag Labs sponsored athlete. We will both be at the NPC. I will be at the NPC Great Lakes. Frank will be at Dave Chavy's Arm Battle, both in Erie, Pennsylvania, April 14th. So come on out. You can meet Big Frank, take photos with him. He'll autograph your stuff. We're going to be doing an edition of Ask Big Frank, hopefully with Dave Chavy alongside, like we did at the Arnold's with John Haynoski, which was fantastic with the Arnold statue in the background. So this is going to be a fantastic, fantastic event, and we look forward to seeing you there. Remember, this Saturday, April the 14th, Erie, Pennsylvania, NPC Great Lakes, and Bill Chavy Arm Battle. You do not want to miss that. So if you're in Buffalo, Syracuse, Albany, if you're in Boston, if you're in New York City, hell, get in the car and drive out there. You will not regret it. Iron Mag Labs, sponsored athlete, Big Frank Budaleski will be there. The Iron Duke, Christian Duke, will be there. In addition to a lot of competitors, arm wrestlers. There's going to be photos. There's going to be videos. We might even do some giveaways. Who the hell knows? As always, log on to Iron Mag Labs for all your supplement needs, and I will see you next week.